Imagine spending days preparing a lavish dinner for your husband's milestone birthday, only for him to walk out the door and celebrate somewhere else. For Laura, this heartbreaking betrayal turned a night of celebration into a night of reflection, and ultimately, a moment to reclaim her dignity. Before we dive into this emotional tale, don't forget to subscribe to Stories Unfolded. We bring you stories of resilience, heartbreak, and the unexpected twists of life. Let's begin. Laura had always been a planner. Married to Eric for 8 years, she took pride in creating memorable experiences for him, especially on his birthday. Eric, who loved being the center of attention, thrived on grand celebrations, and Laura never disappointed. This year, Eric's 40th birthday felt extra special. It was a milestone, and Laura wanted to make it unforgettable. She decided to host a festive dinner party at their home, inviting 20 of Eric's closest friends and family members. For weeks, Laura planned every detail: the menu, the decorations, the playlist, and even the personalized party favors. She stayed up late watching tutorials on how to fold napkins into intricate designs and tested recipes for appetizers, entrees, and desserts. "He's going to love this," she told herself as she arranged a centerpiece of fresh flowers on the dining table. On the day of the party, Laura woke up early and dove straight into the preparations. She marinated chicken, baked a triple-layer chocolate cake, and set up a drink station complete with Eric's favorite cocktails. By 6 p.m., the house looked like something out of a magazine. The dining room sparkled with fairy lights. The smell of roasted garlic and herbs filled the air, and the table was set with her best china. As the clock ticked closer to 7 p.m., the guests began to arrive. Everyone admired the setup, praising Laura for her effort. "You've outdone yourself again, Laura," Eric's best friend Tom said, clapping her on the shoulder. Laura beamed. She couldn't wait to see Eric's reaction when he walked through the door. Eric arrived fashionably late, as always. He walked in wearing a broad smile, soaking up the cheers and applause from the guests. Laura rushed to greet him, wrapping her arms around him. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," she said, her eyes shining with love. Eric kissed her cheek absent-mindedly. "Thanks, babe. Looks like you really went all out." "Of course. It's your 40th, Laura said. "I wanted it to be special." Eric nodded, already turning his attention to his friends. "Yeah, it looks great. Where's the bar set up?" Laura watched as he moved away, laughing and clinking glasses with his buddies. She tried to push down the twinge of disappointment. As dinner was served, Laura noticed Eric growing restless. While the guests were enjoying the feast she had worked so hard to prepare, Eric barely touched his plate. Instead, he kept glancing at his phone and whispering to Tom. Finally, as dessert was being brought out, Eric stood up and announced, "Hey guys, Tom and I are heading to the Rusty Barrel for some drinks. Anyone who wants to join us, let's go." Laura froze, the cake knife still in her hand. "Wait, what?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "We haven't even cut the cake yet." Eric shrugged. "We'll do it later. The night's still young." "But I planned this entire evening for you," Laura said, her voice trembling. "Yeah, and it's great," Eric said casually. "But I want to hit the bar for a bit. You don't mind, do you?" Before Laura could respond, Eric and a handful of his friends were already heading for the door. Laura stood in stunned silence as the door closed behind Eric. She looked around the room at the remaining guests, who shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Her best friend, Rachel, came up to her and put a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Laura, are you okay?" Laura forced a smile, though her heart was breaking. "I'm fine," she said. "Let's cut the cake. He'll have a slice when he gets back. The guests rallied around her, trying to salvage the evening, but Laura couldn't shake the humiliation and hurt she felt. She had poured her heart and soul into making this night special for Eric, only for him to abandon her and the people who cared about him most. After the guests left, Laura sat alone in the now empty dining room. The once bright fairy lights felt dim, and the uneaten slices of cake sat mocking her on their plates. As she replayed the evening in her mind, anger began to replace her sadness. How could he do this? She thought. How could he be so selfish, so thoughtless? Laura decided then and there that she wasn't going to let this slide. It was time to teach Eric a lesson he wouldn't forget. The next morning, Eric returned home hungover, but cheerful. "Last night was epic," he said, flopping onto the couch. Laura said nothing, her face calm, but unreadable. Over the next few days, Laura began putting her plan into motion. She didn't confront Eric outright. Instead, she decided to show him exactly how it felt to be taken for granted. A week later, it was Eric's turn to host a dinner for his business partners. He asked Laura to help him prepare, as she always did. "Sure," Laura said with a sweet smile. "I'll take care of everything." But when the day arrived, Laura was nowhere to be found. Eric called her repeatedly, but her phone went straight to voicemail. Frantic, Eric scrambled to put together something himself. When his guests arrived, they were greeted with takeout pizza, paper plates, and a frazzled host. The evening was a disaster, and Eric couldn't understand why Laura had let him down. When she returned home later that night, Laura simply said, "Oh, I figured you'd manage, just like I did last week." Eric's frustration quickly turned into reflection. Over the next few days, he noticed how distant Laura had become. She stopped making his favorite meals, didn't ask about his day, and seemed uninterested in spending time with him. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore. "Laura, what's going on?" he asked one evening. "You've been so cold lately." Laura looked him in the eye. "I'm just following your lead, Eric. You showed me how much you value me when you walked out on your birthday dinner." Eric's face fell. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted to have some fun with the guys. And I wanted to celebrate you with the people who love you," Laura said. "But you couldn't even stay long enough to cut the cake. Do you have any idea how that made me feel?" For the first time, Eric truly understood the impact of his actions. He apologized to Laura, not just with words, but with actions. He took her out for a romantic dinner, where he thanked her for all the effort she had put into his birthday. He also planned a weekend getaway for just the two of them, determined to make it up to her. While it took time, Eric and Laura were able to rebuild their relationship. Eric learned to appreciate Laura's efforts and began contributing more to their partnership. And as for Laura, she made it clear that she wouldn't tolerate being taken for granted again. Their marriage became stronger, built on mutual respect and open communication. This story reminds us that relationships thrive on appreciation and effort. Laura's experience shows that it's never too late to stand up for yourself. And sometimes, a little tough love is exactly what's needed to create change. If this story resonated with you, please like and share it to remind others of the importance of gratitude and respect in relationships. Don't forget to subscribe to Stories Unfolded for more powerful tales of love, resilience, and life's lessons. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.